All right, what's up, YouTube? Like my new shirt? Yeah, I'm having a bunch of these shirts made with different things on them. I think that's cool. Anyway, thanks for joining us again. Um, Today, I want to talk to you about five scientific laws that I believe lend significant credence to the idea that God exists. Okay, this video and all my videos are just made for people who might be helped by it, right? I'm not making these for die-hard atheists because you can't tell them anything anyway, all right? But these are good scientific laws. When you go to college, they're going to try to tell you that God doesn't exist. A lot of your atheist professors are going to be on your case trying to get you to renounce your faith so that you can be considered intellectual. That's the price you have to pay, renounce your faith so you can be considered intellectual. We're going to talk about that on a different video. And I want to give you some things you can tell them that they can relate to, some things from science that they can relate to why you believe there is a God. I'll give you five of them, okay? Five reasons why I believe there is a God from science. I do not have any unequivocal scientific empirical evidence to prove that there is a God. Anybody that tells you they have that, I would be kind of dubious about that because I don't think that evidence exists. Okay? I think for any time, any reason I can give a person to say that God exists, I think they can probably come up with something that is an equally intelligent argument about why they don't believe he exists. On the other hand, I don't believe that I know my atheist friends don't have any empirical, unequivocal scientific evidence that God does exist. Okay? And so any argument that they could give me that he doesn't exist, I'm sure I could come up with a good argument to prove his existence or to tell them why I do believe he exists. So here are five reasons why I believe God exists from science. And when I make the dogmatic statement, and I do make this dogmatic statement, that God does exist, that he created everything in the universe, and that every single soul on the planet will one day bow before him and give account of their life and be judged by him, I make that statement based on faith, not based on some scientific evidence that I have. And all the atheists that make the dogmatic statement, there is no God, we'll never bow before him, we are not accountable to him for our actions, when they make that statement, that's not a scientific statement. That's a statement also based on faith. We both have a belief. That belief lacks scientific evidence, and belief minus evidence is faith. That faith is the basis of my religion, and that faith is the basis of every atheist religion, although they worship science and they worship reason, and I worship God. Okay? But so anyway, let me give you these five. Number one, causality, the law of cause and effect. The law of causality, you can find all of these laws in any middle school textbook, I'm sure. Causality says everything that exists has a cause or had a cause. I believe the cause of the Big Bang, the cause of the universe, the reason why there is something rather than nothing is God. God is the first cause. Okay? And someone might dispute, well, who created God? What was his first cause? I have no idea. I believe that what the Bible says he's always existed. He has no first cause. He's always been there. Doesn't say he has no first cause. Maybe he had a first cause. I don't know. The Bible just says God has always existed, and so I believe that by faith, not based on scientific evidence. Some atheist professor might say, yeah, but I don't believe that. And I would say, well, where did the universe come from? And they would say, well, we don't know. The universe has always been there. Well, why is it logical for you to believe that the universe has always been there and has always existed, but it's illogical for me to believe that God has always been there? And I don't understand it. It's both faith, right? And so that's my first one, causality. I believe the first cause was God. If you can prove me wrong scientifically, and science hasn't been able to do that, if they proved me wrong, perhaps I would recant. Perhaps I would rethink my position, right? It's not like I'm just saying, because I don't know the answer to this, I'm just going to go, God did it. And anytime I don't know the answer to something, I just say, God did it. No, what I'm saying is, if you don't know the answer to it, you can't say God didn't do it. And that's what atheists try to do. They don't know the answer to something, but they say, I don't know what created the universe, but it definitely wasn't God. That's not intellectually honest. Unless you have proven what created the universe and what was the first cause scientifically, then you can't take God off the table. And no, you can't take the spaghetti monster off the table or anything else off the table. Everything's a possibility until you prove what exactly it was. All right, let me move on. The second thing is the law of conservation of mass. The universe started as nothing, right? Poof. It starts to expand. It's still expanding. Within this universe, there's a ton of matter. There's 5 different kinds of matter: liquid, solid, gas, plasma, and some type of matter that exists in really cold temperatures, and I forget the name. So where did all the matter come from? Matter is not self-creating. The law of conservation of mass says that matter is not self-creating and that matter can't be created by a chemical or physical reaction. So if that is the case, where did all the matter come from? I again say God created all the matter in the universe. And we use this matter, and every time we use something that consists of matter, we should think about our Creator and give thanks. You might say, well, no, God didn't create it. And again, I say, okay, if God didn't create it, where did the matter come from? And then you say, I don't know. And then I say, if you don't know, then you have to admit, if you're going to be intellectually honest, that maybe it was God. You can't be a dogmatic atheist. You got to at least be an agnostic, right? So, and I'm not trying to be antagonistic. I'm just sick of people telling me dogmatically that God doesn't exist, and they know because they're scientists. Well, if you're saying that God doesn't exist and you know that because of science, then what do you do with these scientific laws? All right, where did the matter originate? Number 3, the law of conservation of energy says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Now look at the universe. It's energized. There's a ton of energy in the universe. Where did the energy come from? If it can't be created or destroyed, how did it get there? Did it pop out of nowhere? That's not very scientific of you if you think that. It had to be created at least one time by someone, right? I say that someone was God. There's light energy. There's heat energy. That's what keeps the stars blazing. Even our sun, it keeps it blazing bright, right? Because of all the energy in the universe. What was the origin of all that energy? All right, number 4. There's a lot of movement in the universe. Isaac Newton gave us plenty of laws of motion, right? A few laws of motion. I believe it was the second law of motion that says an object at rest will remain at rest unless it's acted upon by an outside force, a push or pull, that causes it to move. Well, look at the universe. There's a lot of movement in the universe. What was the thing that caused, what was the outside force that caused all the movement in the universe? The planets revolve around, let's just take our solar system. All right, not to mention the rest of the Milky Way galaxy and the rest of the universe. Let's just take our solar system. The planets revolve around the sun, orbit around the sun, right? The moon orbits around the earth, right? All the planets in our solar system are spinning, right? There's even one planet in our solar system that spins, I think it's Neptune, but it spins in the opposite direction, right? So what caused all this motion? Shouldn't everything just be static? Shouldn't it all be at rest? There shouldn't be any movement unless some outside force, I say it was God, started all the movement, right? Can you explain where the origin of the universe, what the origin of the universe is, where the matter came from, where the energy came from, where the movement came from? No. And therefore, when you say there is no God dogmatically, that's not a scientific statement. That's a religious statement based on your belief, minus the evidence, which is faith, and faith is the basis of religion. You're a religious person. All right? You just worship science and not God, if you happen to be a dogmatic atheist. And hopefully you're not. All right, here's the last one. The law of biogenesis. That came to us via Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur, it used to be a long time ago, people believed that non-living matter could create matter. Living matter could somehow emerge or spring from non-living matter, right? But Louis Pasteur did a bunch of exercise, a bunch of experiments, and gave us the law of biogenesis that says life can only come from life. Non-living matter cannot create living matter. So let me ask you this question. The Big Bang happened. It wasn't really a bang, but let's say the Big Bang happened, right? Earth was created. There's no life on Earth. It's dead matter, right? that popped out of nowhere because God couldn't have created it. So here you have this ball of matter that popped out of nowhere. Then you have this rain, right? It's another form of matter, liquid, but of course it popped out of nowhere too, right? So now you have this dead planet and this dead rain. No life in the planet, no life in the rain. It rains on the planet, rains on Earth, cools Earth down, creates a primordial soup or primordial ooze, and out of that primordial soup emerges life. It doesn't happen, people. A non-living planet and non-living water cannot come together and create life. You can't create life from non-living matter. I don't care. You could say, well, if you add millions and millions of years, maybe if it was enough millions of years, maybe. No, not maybe. Right? It doesn't matter how many millions of years. You could take my sneaker and you could put my sneaker in a perfect environment, right? And no matter how long you waited, it would not produce life. Whew. Smells like something living and smells like something died. But anyway, that's a different story. It would not produce life because non-living matter does not produce living matter, no matter how many millions of years you want to add up. Okay? Somebody said, yeah, well, I was talking to some guy on the internet, Jay James, I think it was. But anyway, somebody on the internet said, well, there have been the beginnings of what we call life created in laboratories from non-living matter. I didn't say the beginnings of what we call life can't be created by non-living matter. I said life. Has anyone ever created anything in a laboratory that is living, not the beginnings of what we call life? And so some people say, yeah, well, this proves that one day we may create life from non-living matter. Okay, I'll give you that. I can't predict the future. Maybe we will one day. And if we ever do one day, then that day will be the day that I will recant or at least rethink my position. But until then, you got to explain what was the origin of the universe, where did the matter come from, where did the energy come from, what started the movement, and how did life originate. I'll end with this. Richard Dawkins, of the God Delusion fame, was interviewed on a movie called Expelled. You can get the movie online, type in Expelled, and you can get the movie from any movie stop. It's by Vivendi Entertainment, Vivendi, Vivendi Entertainment. Somebody asked him, okay, Mr. Dawkins, of atheist fame, if there is no God, how did life originate on the planet? Mr. Dawkins said he believes that space aliens from another planet that evolved by some Darwinian means brought life, a primitive form of life, to our planet, seeded it on our planet, and from that sprang all life. Isn't he supposed to be smart or something? Don't you understand, Mr. Dawkins, that just begs the question, if they seeded life on our planet, how did life begin on their planet? And then, you know what I'm saying? So, listen, you can stretch as much as you want, right? But the fact is, there is a God. He created everything. We will all stand before him and be judged. We will all kneel before him and be judged by our Creator. I make that statement as based on faith and not science. But it will happen. All right? And if you make the statement, there is no God and we're not accountable to him to our actions, you make that statement based on faith and not science. We weren't created by space aliens. We were created by God. All right? I'm hoping that you remember that and that you take that to heart and that you give your life to that God, the God of the Bible, and I'll see you in heaven. And we'll both laugh about how crazy life became with all these atheist beliefs in the 21st century. All right, I'm done. Love you. Hope that wasn't too long and something to think about, right? All right, bye.